the act when defending.
I think it's like
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on.
People deluded, I'm back again. As usual, appreciative of you lot supporting my content and everything. One love to everyone that was at my Southampton versus Arsenal watch along, where obviously we drew against Southampton. St. Mary's isn't a nice place to go. And while Arsenal have been good, we've dropped 4 points so far this season. Definitely a lot we can build upon. Definitely not where we could be in terms of our full potential and actually being a team worthy of a lot of the plaudits and talking points and challenging for this and that. People don't get twisted. I'm proud of my team. I like what we're doing. Definitely, if you offered me in closing close to November now, really, if you offered me a thing with Arsenal, have only dropped 4 points against Southampton and United at Old Trafford and St. Mary's, two grounds that aren't filled with too much joy for us. Well, we have won the league at United. It's not quite adapting anymore. I would have bit your arm off for it. And obviously, we could have done better in those games. We could have done better against Southampton. And I would say, we have a small squad. Football is high performance. You can start to see tired legs, and we are a bit flat and sluggish across 90 minutes. We're clearly not as clinical in the final third, and definitely in our last 3 games. I would say Leeds, Southampton, and against PSV to a degree. Even though in an attacking sense they didn't ask any questions, and maybe even Bodo. The last 4 games we've kind of been. When you compare Arsenal to the high standards we set early in the season, there's a bit of normality in performance. We have been a bit sluggish. We have been a bit flat. We've been winning games. We've drawn today, dropped 2 points, and we finished 2 points off top 4 last season. That could make the difference. And considering Liverpool lost, Spurs have played Newcastle, Chelsea, and United drew. It could, City won. It could have been our turn to kind of keep things going, but these things happen. Can't remember the last time Arsenal drew. So. Yeah, it's happened today. But as they say, if you can't win, don't lose, innit? And, based on definitely the second half, we could have lost today, really and truly. And I think it shows that we've got a long way to go before we can actually be title contenders and things. And I'm saying those for those who believe, bar the crazy season where Arsenal are doing well, that Arsenal genuinely have arrived as title contenders. We're still our best friends or our worst enemies. We didn't help ourselves today, really, because in fact, what you got to do, you've got to credit Southampton. I don't understand some of the refereeing decisions. It's going to happen. It evens out. We've got some favourable decisions across the season so far. We didn't get any today. That guy's grabbing Nketiah, by his neck. He's lunging in with his head. There was a lot of fouls from their defenders. And I'm not criticising their defenders because they should be doing this. I would want my players to do that if we're playing a team that's in better form and all of that stuff. So the referee was a bit inconsistent. I definitely feel we should have had a pen shout, or at least 2, definitely one for Jesus, where literally an almost identical one is given in the game 24 hours ago with Chelsea and Man United people. So I don't understand it, but the ref's inconsistent. I like to focus on the variables that we can control. We did it. We started well. We got the goal. We were moving right, but we didn't smell blood. Players didn't take their chances. Odegaard had a tap in. Jesus had a number of chances. Someone of his quality could score. But I don't think we widespread created chances like that. We played with fire and we got burnt. Like, first half was ours, second half was theirs. And even that, I would say there was a period last 10 minutes of the first half where it felt like they had a million corners. So the warning signs were there. So at half time, obviously you're sitting there and you're going, we need to score some more goals. We need to manage the game a bit better. We need to take our chances. And if you're Southampton, you're sitting there and saying, listen, Arsenal quality side, fantastic build-up, which Odegaard and Saka is involved. Fantastic from Ben White to find Granit, who scores another goal, with his right foot. Goals are like buses. I haven't seen Xhaka score with his right peg. He managed to do it twice in the week. That was it, Arsenal was a bit of quality there, innit? Southampton are going to come out on violence because it's still 1-0. And I think the same lessons that we didn't learn against Leeds came to heed today. Kill the game, control the tempo of the game, defend amicably. We were a bit nervous. I feel sometimes we weren't contesting the first and second balls well enough. Sometimes the first touches weren't of a standard, really. And you are seeing maybe potential limitations with our lack of depth and the physicality that's required. Would have wanted a bit more from Tomiyasu going forward. I think Tomiyasu was a bit flat today by his own standards. I think Gabriel did well. I think Saliba was a bit lackluster today. Not that he was terrible. And I'm not here to pick out players because we're all bad. We didn't score enough. We've conceded a goal. And we've dropped points from winning positions, which, considering how we've started the season, we should be disappointed. Credit to Southampton. They haven't got a full strength team. You know, they've the one win in 5 prior to this, but, you know, they came into it with 4 points on the board after a draw against West Ham and I believe beating Bournemouth. So 5 points in their last 3 games for a team that needs to get 40 points and a team that, you know, there's serious pressure on Ralph Hasenhüttl. I'm disappointed because I wanted 6 points from our last 2 games of this month. Now it's going to have to be 4. We're going to have to bounce back against Nottingham Forest, who are going to want to put in a similar, if not better, performance than they did in their victory against Liverpool. You know, Fabio Vieira off the bench. It was admit that sub was horrible. Eddie Nketiah on the left. You're not really going to see much. It just shows our limitations, innit? We don't have real bench so we can call upon players. We don't have different profiles. Like, obviously, it was a physical game today. Jesus still could have thrived and scored, but he was getting pulled and everything. Maybe if we had a target man, we could have, the more technical players could have bounced off them. And, you know, when a couple of players aren't quite on it today, then as you see, we're not necessarily going to get 3 points. So, and I think we were quite lucky in the second half. We was at their mercy. I genuinely thought they would have got a second. They scared me every time they went forward, much less when obviously Armstrong went and scored. There was a number of riding our locks and heart and mouth moments, but anytime you don't take your chances, it is what it is. I think a bit like with Leeds, who obviously couldn't get the job done against us, Southampton obviously kept going and could have felt that they could have scored, or maybe if they cut out their goal that they allowed us to score, felt that they could have got a bit more, because we have to learn to stop giving encouragement to teams. We have to learn to suck the life pause out of teams with, you know, a form of defense is just defending well and clearing our lines, but it's also what our midfield does to set the tempo and things. And I don't want to praise Chelsea, but look at the difference having someone like Kovacic in their squad did for them yesterday, you know, because United were all onto them for 35 minutes. Kovacic came on. It was a bit more of an even contest to go with, obviously switching to a back 4. So, yeah, we gave them too many reasons to believe. You know, while I think we have got new mentality and stuff, we dropped 2 points from winning positions against a team that you need to, with Chelsea coming up in November, you need to get 3 points. It's another ground that when Arsenal fans in the summer, when we see our fixture calendar list and you X out the Anfields, the Brightons, the Old Traffords, the St. Mary's, we failed the St. Mary's test. We failed the Man United test. You know, again, if we bought them 2 teams at home this season, I reckon we do it, but that's not how the cookie crumbles. Well, we have to play them, but you get the point. So yeah, second half goes to Southampton, first half goes to us. You know, I did think we should have had a pen. I was upset, obviously. Tierney technically set up Odegaard, but the ball does go out. The ref made a number of bookie decisions. You know, cards for players that shouldn't have cards, not making penalties and things. But when they do get the decisions right, we have to leave them. But I think it showed the last 2 Premier League games, we've taken 4 points, but it's shown the limitations. It's shown that you need depth. It's shown fatigue is creeping into it. It's shown that there's still a lot of naiveties. And it's shown what we need in the recruitment front. We need a 6 that can just get a bit of steel in midfield, like at a time when we looked flat and we're giving the ball away cheaply. We need an 8 that can dictate the tempo of a game. We probably just need some players with a bit more X factor, like no disrespect to Arteta and Marquinhos and Nelson, but they're natural wingers. He's brought Eddie Nketiah on. Obviously, we're looking for a goal. 2 strikers are better than 1. Jesus and Eddie Nketiah can both maneuver and swap roles, which I haven't really seen against PSV or Southampton. You'd rather Jesus probably do the wide thing, but a bit limited in terms of maybe difference makers that are going to come on and give us something in that regards, really. But it is well, it is, people. Like, even the first half, even though I think the first half went to us, we had to absorb way too much pressure, I feel. Like I said, there was a 5-minute interval where we only had 7% of the ball. I think that was around when they scored all them thingies. Sorry, man said scored when they had all them corners. And it's disappointing because I think we started the game well. Saka was unlucky not to score. Odegaard should have scored in the 8th minute. We started well, had a very good start to the game, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and in between, really. And sometimes we've got away with elements of today. You can't run away from it all the time. So, you know, there's a lot that we can develop. There's a lot that we can learn. You know, at least we left with something. It could definitely be better. It could definitely be worse. We just have to accept it, and we need to be better against Nottingham Forest. I mean, at least Jesus and Saliba didn't get booked in it, and hopefully they don't get booked last week. But we didn't deserve to win today. Even if we did win only 1-0, or we found a way, like, let's just say Tierney's goal stood, Tierney's assist for Odegaard stood because the ball went out. I think, you know, it would have papered over cracks. And you know, you can't run away from things like this. Sometimes your performance has to be that of you can win games not playing well, you can lose games being amazing, and that happens. But 9 times out of 10, you get what you deserve. And I think we need to go back to basics and stuff like that and whatnot. I think Fabio Vieira's sub was a bit of a madness. He didn't do nothing. You know, I'd say out of the subs, Tini's the one that provoked things. But yeah, man, at least Xhaka continues his goal scoring form. We get a point. As I said, considering what's going on those around us, sometimes you've got to be able to win games like this. But I guess for trips to Old Trafford and St Mary's, folks, we're gonna have to wait till next year to try to do better. And we're just gonna have to focus on Nottingham Forest and Chelsea as our next 2 games and any other games, and still keep trying to finish the period strong, really and truly, if I'm honest with you. Newcastle have just scored, by the way, folks. Callum Wilson, I think VAR will have a look at that. But yeah, man, you know, it could be better, it could be worse. And for me personally, if we got to, like, you know, if you offered in August, you're only going to drop 4 points, a draw at St Mary's and bottling at Old Trafford, I think we would have taken it, people. VAR's about to help Spurs. I don't think that goal should be disallowed. But on that note, though, people, thank you for listening to my review. Check out the rest of my content. Comment your own. I'm out.
Spurs, there's always that attitude when defending.
I think it's like